All right, and the next fight we're going to break down is a fight in the UFC's bantamweight division between longtime veteran of mixed martial arts and longtime UFC veteran in Raphael Assuncao going up against dangerous Davey Grant, who is a UFC veteran in his own right and a former Ultimate Fighter alum. I believe he was on Team Bisping against Team Henderson, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but I know he was on the Ultimate Fighter. Let me see if I can pull that up. See, go back here. All right, well, it's not gonna work right now, man. Like, I swear, I try to use these websites sometimes to like get the correct, stats and stuff for you, but man, SureDog really needs to fix its freaking internet speed and the speed of this web page, because it freezes all the time. And it's not my internet, because I don't have this problem on like any other websites that I use for MMA or anything like that. But either way, let's get back to what we were trying to talk about. So we'll go to Davey Grant against Assuncao, and let's see. Come on. All right. Davey Grant, 14-6 overall. Ultimate Fighter season 18. Okay, so that wasn't the Henderson and Bisping one. So I forgot who his coach was. I can't think of it, but either way, he was a former Ultimate Fighter. Assuncao, huge UFC veteran, fought some of the best guys in the sport. And this is a good fight, man. This is a fight where, you look at Assuncao's last fight against Victor Henry. That was a fight where I was extremely and supremely confident in La Mangosta, Victor Henry, who actually fights on the card as well against Tony Gravely. I was supremely confident in Victor Henry to get past Raphael Assuncao. I thought he was going to knock him out. I thought he was going to piece him up on the feet after the performance we saw him have in his UFC debut against Raoni Barcelos, where although it was back and forth, he was able to instill his will on Barcelos. He was able to push him back. He was able to pressure him. He was able to hurt him at certain points. He didn't drop him, but he looked really good in a fight where he was like a plus 450, plus 500 underdog, or plus 350, somewhere around there. Yeah, I think it was like plus 290, plus 390, somewhere in that range. But he was a huge underdog, and he dominated that fight. Like, yeah, he got hit with some big shots from Barcelos, but Barcelos is a very clean technical striker. And Assuncao, yeah, he got hit with some shots at some points, but he was able to counter the kicks of Henry. Henry is a big kicker. He's a big, active kicker. And Assuncao was able to counter him with the straight left, switch to orthodox, land the overhand right over some of the front kicks and the body kicks, step back and counter with straight punches and hooks. He constantly changes stances, does Assuncao. And Assuncao is a very economical fighter. He's a guy who's not going to throw, 4 or 5 punch combinations. It's going to be 2 shots at the most, 1 or 2 shots. He's going to hit you with a straight shot. He's going to catch your kick, counter with a hook. He's going to land the 1-1-2. He's going to land the 1-2, switch to southpaw from orthodox. Land the right hook, straight left down the middle, switch back to orthodox. Front teep kick up the middle. Jab, 1-2. Overhand right counter, catch the kick, overhand right, switch southpaw. Back you into the straight left. Now move you back over, right hook, straight left. Overhand left. He's very economical, but he's a smart fighter. And that's what led him to a lot of big wins in his UFC career. I mean, Assuncao has a victory over TJ Dillashaw. He has a decision victory over Rob Font. He has a decision victory over the current UFC bantamweight champion in Aljamain the Funkmaster Sterling. But he's on a rough patch. I mean, the guy's been beat in, I think, 4 out of his last 5 fights. He got knocked out by Cody Garbrandt. He got submitted by Magic Marlon Moraes. He got knocked out by Ricky Simone. He beat Victor Henry, breaking the losing skid. But he lost the rematch to TJ Dillashaw. I mean, the guy just had a little bit of a rough patch after being a guy in the UFC who was not just the litmus test, but was constantly 1 or 2 fights away from a title shot at 135 pounds. But it was always that one fight that would get him to that title shot that he would end up fumbling the bag and losing. And that's why he never got a title shot. But he was always the top test for every fighter in that bantamweight division to see if they could get to the top of the weight class. And when you look at Dangerous Davey Grant, I mean, he's really come into his own in recent years. I mean, the guy's got a knockout victory over Jonathan Martinez, the only guy to ever knock out Martinez, who is actually fighting in the next fight we're going to break down on the card. But he's fighting against Said Nurmagomedov, but he was able to catch him with that switch step right hook to the body and the left hook up top to the head. The thing about Davey Grant that I like against Assuncao is his volume. Like I said, Assuncao's 1-2 punches at max. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll get a third punch out of him in a combination. Davey Grant is constantly switching stances. 1-1-2, 1-2, right hook to the body, right hook to the body, switch back orthodox, 1-1-2, right hook, left head kick, switching, spinning hook kick. I mean, he's constantly throwing volume. He's a pressure fighter. He tries to break you. He holds a decision victory, I believe, over Marlon Chito Vera, who's coming up against Corey Sandhagen in just a few short weeks. I believe in 2 weeks, Marlon Vera is going to be fighting against Corey Sandhagen. I don't know why I couldn't think of the name, but I believe he did defeat Marlon Vera via decision back in the day. I could be wrong, but we're going to check that. Yeah, he beat him via unanimous decision at UFC Fight Night 84 back in February 2016. Then they just had their rematch in June of 2021 at UFC on ESPN 25, where the fight was still back and forth, but Vera did more damage. The elbows of the pressure caught the pressuring Davey Grant stepping in, and he was constantly getting hit with big elbows, big shots, and hurt multiple times on the feet. He was getting out grappled, outpaced, but early on, man, he probably won the first round. Like, he was doing very well, and it's because of the awkward angles. It's because of the constant stance changes. The right hook to the body, the right hook up top, the switch stance, right hook to the body, left hook to the head, the 1-1-2, switch right hook, left hook kick to the head, back to orthodox, 1-1-2, left hook, switch southpaw. He's constantly on that pulley system. He's constantly switching orthodox, southpaw to orthodox, and vice versa. And the pressure and the overall volume of Davey Grant is something that's going to give an economical fighter and a technical fighter in Raphael Assuncao, yes, give him opportunities to find counters against a guy who's going to be coming forward full steam ahead. But at this point where Assuncao's 40 years old, he's late in his career. Like, he's been knocked out. He's been on a losing skid. He got knocked out by Ricky Simone, who doesn't get a whole lot of knockouts in his career. That volume is going to eventually drown Assuncao. And yeah, he might be able to time the pressure of Davey Grant with some takedowns in wrestling. I think the best option for Raphael Assuncao to win this fight is to use his takedowns, use his grappling, and tire out the pressure fighter in Davey Grant, and to counter the forward pressure of Davey Grant with the wrestling counter takedowns, counter doubles, counter singles, counter body locks. If he stands on the feet with Davey Grant, a guy who has so much volume, who switches stances, who has big power in his punches, who can mix up his combinations, throw punches and kicks seamlessly, he's going to get finished and he's going to get knocked out. Like, we've seen Assuncao's chin has failed him recently. And yes, it was against big, heavy power punchers, but I don't think Simone is really that big of a power puncher, and he put him away in the first round. I think Davey Grant can catch him with that switch right hook to the body, left hook up top to the head. I think he can catch him with a right hand, a right hook, a head kick, etc., etc. Like, he can catch Davey or Assuncao on the chin and put him away. And I actually think that's what Davey Grant does. I think he catches Assuncao on the chin, and the durability of Assuncao fails him once again this late in his career. And although Davey Grant is a minus 140 favorite, I really like Davey Grant in this spot. If you're more on the side of the grappling and wrestling pressure of Assuncao, then I could see you favoring him to win this fight based off the forward pressure and the counter wrestling ability that Assuncao is going to need to instill in order to win this fight. But based off the recent performance against Davey Grant against Marlon Chito Vera, the performance he had where he went to decision with Adrian Yanez and they went back and forth for a little bit. Yanez clearly won the fight, but they went back and forth, and that was a fight where I thought Davey Grant was going to get put away, and then the knockout over Luis Smolka, the back and forth fight with Marlon Vera. Like, I think that this is Davey Grant's time. I think that this is dangerous times for Raphael Assuncao, and I think Davey Grant puts him away. He catches him with that switch stance, right hook to the body, the left hook up top, or a counter check right hook, and he puts him out. So my pick is dangerous Davey Grant to defeat Raphael Assuncao via a second round knockout victory off that switch stance, hook to the body, and the left hook up top, or a check hook as Assuncao tries to pressure. When it comes to the betting, I bet against Assuncao with Victor Henry, and Henry was a big favorite, and Henry kind of shit the bed for me. So I think that when it comes to me, I'm going to stay away from this fight from a betting perspective on either side. If I'm going to tell you what to pick, I like the favorite in Davey Grant at minus 140. I would expect him to get to like a minus 165, minus 175, closer to fight night. Like by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this week, I think Grant's going to move up to minus 160, minus 155, minus 170, somewhere in that range. But if I'm going to tell you a money line bet, I like Davey Grant. But if you're favoring the grappling and the counter pressure, the counter wrestling off the pressure of Grant, then you could take Assuncao, and I wouldn't fade you because I was wrong about him last time going up against Victor Henry. But Grant's more proven in the UFC. He's fought the tougher competition, like compared to Victor Henry against Assuncao. And at this point in Assuncao's career, I just can't back him. I know he got the win over Henry. I know he had some good counter striking in that fight, but I think Davey Grant's pressure, power, and just overall volume is going to put Assuncao away. So dangerous Davey Grant to defeat Raphael Assuncao via second round knockout off that switch stance, hook to the body and hook to the head. Betting line, I like just Davey Grant on the money line. If Davey Grant by KO is like upwards of plus 300, plus 250, plus 300, plus 400, then I would say to take Davey Grant by KO. But if you're not getting a big juicy money line, or if you're not getting a big juicy prop bet on that, then I would say just play the money line if you want to play it. But this is not one of my favorite bets on the card.